The U.S. just increased the possibility of a nuclear retaliation by Russia. What does this mean to you, and how can you prepare? Now, the nuclear doctrine of Russia, as quoted by Vladimir Putin, says, Russia's nuclear doctrine allows the use of such munitions if weapons of mass destruction are used against us, or if the Russian state faces an existential threat from conventional weapons. We will certainly make use of all weapon systems available to us. This is not a bluff. End quote. Ultimately, what Vladimir Putin has said is that Russia is drawing some red lines, and they're determined by Russia. And if those lines are crossed, they will respond with nuclear retaliation. Because of the recent donation of tanks from Germany and the US, Russia is now suggesting that that is an existential threat, that Germany and the US, as NATO in general, is an existential threat to Russia. And they're already sustaining heavy losses. And if this gets worse, this is really their next alternative. But there's the two biggest threats. Now, when I was in New York a few months ago, New York told the citizens to prepare for a nuclear attack. Then now what they're suggesting is the biggest risk is New York City and Germany, because what Russia will most likely use is low-yield nuclear blasts over the city, really just to kind of rain radiation down and deem the city uninhabitable. So I'm making this video because obviously these are things we already know, but it's important that we prepare. When I was in New York City and they started telling their citizens to prepare for a nuclear retaliation from Russia, it gets you thinking. So I believe strongly that if you're in a city, that you can get out of that city, get 10 miles away within one day safely. But the amount of time you have to respond from a warning of a nuclear attack is around 30 minutes at best. So around 30 minutes, heads up, at best. So there's really no time to get out. There's really only enough time to respond to the radiation and get out. So I have a couple things that I highly recommend. These are things that we implemented into our family's plan because we live near Kansas City. We have a place down in the Ozarks, but we still got to get away from Kansas City. So what we've incorporated into our plan is, first and foremost, we have to be able to breathe successfully without getting radiation poisoning or whatever, biological poisoning, CS gas, whatever the case may be. And the only mask that I recommend is the Mira Safety Gas Mask for several reasons. We got the nuclear filter, which will prevent nuclear radiation, bacteria, viruses, acid vapor. It's the only gas mask that is used by NATO military because it's the only gas mask that uses the 40mm NATO filter. That's why we got it. Police departments and military around the world use this, so it's very, very reliable. These filters, encased in plastic, have a 20-year shelf life. If you open the plastic, they have about a 1-year shelf life. If you're using it, meaning breathing in and out of it, you got about 1 day, but that is plenty of time to get about 10 miles away. You can get 10 miles away on foot in 1 day. This also comes with a cantina, and you can drink through the mask as well. But Mira's website, they also have potassium iodine tablets. They have the only child filtered gas mask. And then this is what I recently added. I love my dog. My dog is my best friend. They happen to sell a dog arc for your dogs. In case you are in one of those cities and there's nuclear radiation, you can protect your dog as well. You know, and these are things that when you only have a 30-minute heads up, you don't have any time to go buy these products. It's better just to have them sitting there. It's better to have and not need than need and not have when it comes to a nuclear attack. But in addition to that, I'm going to recommend that you have an emergency food supply. not only that you can carry with you, because we have an emergency backpack. And again, I'll put the links to all these things below. But we have an emergency backpack that has emergency food. We also have an emergency 30-day supply of food at our cabin down in the Ozarks, and some other things, but we're at least going to get 30 days down there. I also recommend that you have emergency antibiotics on hand. So I'm going to put the link to Chase below, because they could provide you with enough emergency antibiotics for your entire family. And all of these things cost a lot less than if you just went out and bought a bunch of food and tried to just buy everything you could possibly think of for a nuclear attack. So there you go. U.S. has increased the risk of a nuclear threat from retaliation by Russia. And I think it's important that we at least make these tiny little steps to make sure that we can walk out of a dangerous area in one day safely. Any thoughts or insight on that? Definitely put that below. Those links are below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.